Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode in our baseball podcast. My name is Adrian Paredes. I'm joined with my co-host, David Hooten, and we have a special guest joining David in spring training in Arizona. That is none other than the Dr. Doug Becker, political science professor at USC and co-host of the superb podcast on today's most pressing issues, the Scholars Circle. Check in the description for a link to that fantastic podcast if you want to check it out. He's also a four-time EJMA champ and former EJMA commissioner. Welcome, Doug.
Thanks. And I got to tell you, we usually talk about things like the war in Iran and like poverty and really, serious issues. This one's going to be a lot more fun.
Yeah, I saw the
Definitely happy to have you on, Doug.
The war in Iran was the last episode. I heard some of that one, and I was using it while I wash dishes sometimes. So I just want to listen to something interesting. So yeah, okay. But today we're going to talk about a few things. We had our EJMA draft that happened last week. And we're definitely going to follow up on that one. We have a couple other things exciting going on too. Like I went to spring training a couple weeks ago, and you guys are there right now at spring training. And I also kind of want to touch on the WBC because some exciting things have happened in that. It's been pretty entertaining. So first, I was just there a couple weeks, like I said, and I just missed you guys. What are your thoughts on the stadiums there? Like, what was your favorite ones that you visited? I'll start with you, David.
I think Salt River Fields at Talking Stick is easily the best stadium there. Just so beautiful. It's new and it's spacious. Has a lot of character. That one, hands down. I do like Goodyear a lot. I like Sloan Park. I'll tell you one that it disappoints me is Camelback Ranch. A lot of people rate it high. We went there. We saw the Cubs White Sox a few days ago. I think it's, for a relatively new stadium, it has no character. You're in the sun the entire time. There's not a lot of shade. There's not a lot of food choices. Those are my thoughts.
How about you, Doug?
One that you didn't mention that I think is just a gorgeous stadium is Tempe Diablo. It's older, it's not, you don't go there for the facilities or anything, but it's got a gorgeous view of the mountain behind it. That's like the quintessential.
The mountain in left field is awesome there. That's for sure.
I have to say Tempe Diablo has the best food choices. They had so many stands there, and it was so cool. They have so many choices. It's the best food choices, but I didn't like the stadium a whole lot. I mean, you have a beautiful view of the highway right there, and but the rocks back there are kind of cool too.
We might go there. So what did you eat there?
Dude, there's so many choices. You have anything you could think of is there. Really, it's a really good choice. Just go to the food trucks on the left side, on the third base side, and there's tons of options. Check it out. I agree with you.
Was that last year or the year before? We were at the first rain out at Tempe Diablo in 21 years, they said.
Really?
Yeah.
Camelback I thought was pretty good, but I went at night, so I wasn't exposed to the sun as much there. So I thought it was interesting. I sat next to Mike C at that game a couple of years ago, and saw Shohei play. It was the Angels and Dodgers playing. It was kind of cool.
It's cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Those are some good picks, and I like Surprise. I'm a homer, but I like the Surprise Stadium. It's convenient. It's easy to get to. You get in the shade pretty quick. It's a nice facility.
Surprise has one thing the others don't. It has Josh Boyd. That's why Surprise is fun.
Yes, great Josh Boyd. And for those who don't know,
that's so true.
He is a former EJMA turned baseball scout, turned baseball executive now with the Texas Rangers. And he tends to get us into little cool things when we go visit and tell him hi. So yeah, it's very nice of him to do that. And I really appreciate that.
He's great, man.
So also going on in the WBC, last night was an incredible game between Venezuela and Japan. Did you guys catch much of that?
We caught just the end of it, but really exciting. Happy for Venezuela. Good to see that we'll have a new champion. I was really happy to see them win. How about you guys?
Go ahead, Doug.
You know what? This may be a terrible take, but I kind of root for Venezuela to win it all. They've been through a lot recently, and partly because I always love to see new champs. I know I should be rooting for the U.S., I suppose, but the U.S. has won. The DR's won. Venezuela. I got to admit, I also really like it. Out of espresso every time that they hit a home run. I am on board. But no, Venezuela, that was so unexpected. And Japan's won several times already, so I am absolutely on board with Venezuela winning. I thought that was exciting, and I thought it was actually an ideal for the WBC because it's a team that nobody thought was going to win it, and upsets. Today is Election Sunday. The only reason to watch the tournament is upsets, and so same with WBC.
So what's a bigger story, U.S. almost getting eliminated or Italy with their incredible run?
Man, Italy. Man, I'm telling you, I laugh because I didn't expect them to beat the United States. Nobody did. And to win again last night like they did and beat Puerto Rico, that was also surprising.
Yeah, they don't have any, real frontline starters, but they find a way.
Yeah, and this recording was going to come out in a couple of days probably, so we'll know the results of the U.S. versus Dominican Republic. So, by the way, who do you pick for that? Who do you guys pick for that game?
I'm taking Paul Skeens and U.S. to beat them. I love that Dominican lineup. That's incredible. I mean, probably the best lineup you could put together, but I'm going to go with the USA today. Paul Skeens. I mean, I saw something today that the Dominican lineup is something like 3 for 28 career against Paul Skeens.
I think Paul Skeens dominates, and then thanks to the WBC rules, he leaves in the 5th, and the DR wins. I think the DR comes back and wins.
You mean Brad Keller's going to give a bunch of runs again, like he's done every game just about?
We can talk about that as one of our mock draft picks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he definitely has the edge over Severino as a starter, but if you look at the DR bullpen, wow, there's about 7 or 8 great arms in that bullpen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought pitching-wise, the United States was the dominant force on that. But, I mean, I thought Japan was the dominant force when you have Yamamoto and those guys, Imai and those guys like that.
Mm-hmm. No, but, yeah, I think that, plus, I got to be rooting for my boy Albert Pujols and managing that. I will tell you this. Albert Pujols is a better manager than Mark DeRosa. That being said, I think there's probably 22 or 23 managers in the EJMA who are better managers than Mark DeRosa.
Yeah, that was almost an all-time epic.
That's like Grady Little.
Yeah, Grady Little. Poor guy.
Oh, that was a lot of heat. Fail. Oh yeah, we're in. It doesn't matter what we're going to do against Italy. Yeah. Let's walk that back, Mark.
Yeah.
By the way, quick reminder: Mark DeRosa played for Team Italy, and then he's pulling that. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not saying he tanked it on purpose, but I'm not saying he's not.
Somebody check his bank account. Let's make sure.
Yeah.
All right. WBC has been a good watch. I enjoy it, and it's been really good this year. Makes for
that game tonight's going to be epic.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to catch the Team USA play against Colorado Rockies and in Colorado's beautiful stadium there. And that was really cool. Okay.
I'm sure these pitchers managed that lineup just fine.
Yeah. Okay, so let's jump over to the EJMA draft results. Now, Doug famously puts out a mock draft every year. Is the official mock draft of the EJMA. Dave and I, we last couple of years we put our own little version of it out there, just kind of riffing and raffing about what we think, and so it's been fun. I really enjoy mock drafts, and I know you do too, Doug. And it's cool to look back and compare the results. I think we both did pretty well. We all did pretty well in this one, and there were a couple of surprises. But what caught you off guard most, Doug?
Well, first of all, with the mock, I thought about talking a little bit about process a bit. Because I've been doing this, I'll lay out a mock draft, and then in the last few years, I try to get people to tell me what they're interested in. Occasionally, they do. I usually sit around with some guys, David, Glenn, Jacob. The 4 of us kind of talk through the draft. Although the decisions are my own, and then what I usually do is take the first 20 picks or so seriously, and then throw a few at the end because I just need to make a smart ass comment. And so I didn't really think that Sung Cinnamon Song was going to go in the first round, but I had just seen Song Song Blue. And so how do I not put that on there? The one that I tried to put on, and I just couldn't do it, was Zach Veen, which would not have been a terrible one, because I had some really snarky comments about snorting bath salts on that one, because I know David did, he saw it. But yeah, that was, so, from the process, perspective, I try to get the first 20 or so right, and then I just kind of run with it. What was, so, I mean, there were some surprises, obviously. Some people who made their way into the first round where I did not think were going to. Some people who dropped out of the first round. That was pretty surprised.
Who's the name that jumped into the first that surprised both of you guys? David, what do you think?
Go ahead.
Oh, I gotta look at the list again. Oh, I could say one that jumped into the first round that surprised me was Liam Hicks. Yeah, I mean, no offense. I think it was Steve that took him, but I think that was a big reach. I don't think he's a real great player. I don't think there's much upside. He has a +2 arm. I just didn't, I think that was way too high for him.
And watch him be the pick of the draft. Watch. You never know. This time next year, we could be saying, oh, man,
he hit 320 with and he has a -2 arm this year.
I mean, if you looked at results from last year, that was a really
that's what jumped out to me as a surprise in that first round.
Yeah, I mean, to me, and it's not a huge surprise because Morgan jumped up, and Morgan had the 2 back-to-back picks, and those were guys that I really weren't even on my radar as first round guys. They looked to me like second or third round, types of guys. Like, for instance, and we'll talk about this, I'm taking Jack Dreyer when Caleb Teelbar is sitting out, and he just kept dropping and dropping. I know the dude's old, but they're relievers, and a rule I always have is when you draft a reliever, with the possible exception of a young closer, a second year is just bonus. Yeah, you draft the reliever for the card, and I thought there were some higher quality cards that ended up dropping, and at least in one case I was pretty happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, in another league that Doug and I are in, SNBL, I don't draft or auction draft relievers. I will not, and I get all of my relievers in the minor league phase. Some people reach and grab them at contracts, and I don't believe in it. I think it's a waste of money, honestly, because they're so hit and miss every year in, year out, unless they're closers, of course, or types that will be closers, then you can consider the investment. But if they're just middle relievers,
Yeah.
Well, and as an example, I'll just say last year I think we had 9 relievers in the first round, and I think only one really panned out for 2026.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Morgan has a really good team, and he needed some guys in at bullpen too. So
yeah, his team's great.
Yeah. One of the best, I think, is one of the best all time, I think, at the end of the year in terms of wins.
Yeah, no, he's loaded, and John has a great track record in drops. So I mean, I'm fully prepared to be proven wrong. I just thought, Dreyer and Fisher were not the best cards out there. And if you're in a position like he is, where I think it's fair to say he is the preseason favorite to win it all, I think go out there and get the best card, and so I don't know that. Okay, we'll see. Yeah. And watch Jack Dreyer strike out 6 in a row against me and knock me out of the playoffs.
Okay, I gotta ask you guys then. This is one of the early surprises of the draft. And first, let me say that yes, I had eyes for Colson Montgomery the entire offseason into the end of last season. He is the guy I wanted all along, obviously, and it's hard to hide that when I have Dante Bichette, Bo Bichette at shortstop, and it's a glaring D range right there, and it's obvious I'm trying not to overplay my hand, but at the same time, I didn't want Glenn to take him. And the funny thing is, if he did, I wouldn't have taken Bubba. I have opinions on Bubba Chandler, and I think his control is a bit suspect.
The biggest shock of Glenn taking Bubba Chandler is for years, he and I have talked about this, and he passed on a hitter to take a pitcher. He just almost always takes the hitters. Plus, I mean, ostensibly, at least allegedly, he's a White Sox fan. I'm not sure he is anymore. I think the Cubs have sucked him into to the dark side over there. But when he told me he was going to take Bubba Chandler like months ago, I was surprised. I kept thinking he might change his mind, but he didn't. So
Adrian, so if Montgomery had gone number 1, who would you have taken it to?
I had 2 players that were backup right there. I had 2 guys that I was thinking about, and I couldn't decide, and they went 3rd and 4th. Is Cam Schlittler and Sal Stewart. What would have I think I would have taken Cam over Sal, only because I'm not 100% sure on Sal's power yet. I think he's a good hitter.
And also, you're a contender, and Cam's card is a benefit.
It would have been more beneficial. Yeah, beneficial.
Yeah.
Because right now I have Kershaw as my number 5, and he would have been my number 5 at that point. But yeah, and it was a surprise of the draft. Early on, everybody thought that Ron was going to take Schlittler, but he took Stewart. And I know that threw off the rest of the draft for everybody else. So I know in particular for Jacob, I know he really had eyes for Sal Stewart.
So maybe the next surprise was Carlos Nevarez. Not that I thought he could have gone at 4 because I think Oakland had a huge need, but I don't think we saw that coming where Art would take him right there. What did you guys think?
Well, I'm going to jump in real quick because I want to go on the record. I actually think Sal Stewart is an overdraft.
Really?
I'll go on record and say that the Reds have so many hitters, so many young hitters. I'm not sure. I see Sal Stewart, and sure, you can dream on him. Man, am I crazy when I look at him and go, they also had Christian Encarnacion Strand, and is Stewart that much better?
Encarnacion Strand was like a can't miss guy too.
So, yeah, I don't know.
He's been derailed with injuries, right? And that's sort of.
Well,
I guess he's back this year. We'll see. They have a lot of first basemen on that team.
Yeah, and the funny thing is I was offered him. I was offered him for a late pick, and I passed because I just don't see that much. And I'm not saying Stewart's going to be a complete bust. I'm just saying I never saw the can't miss that everybody else in the league does. So, Lord knows I'm not the best talent evaluator in this league, but we'll see. I want to be on record as saying I'm not sure. So
okay, well, I'm bullish on Sal, so I'll take the other side of it.
Let me ask you, David, if you had the top pick in the draft, who would you have taken?
For me, it would have been either Bubba or Cam Schlittler. I think I would have taken Bubba Chandler as well. I agree with Glenn that I think that was the best pick in terms of upside there.
What about you, Doug, if you had the first pick?
If I had the first pick with this team,
yes.
I would have taken Cam because my rotation is a little bit weak on the back end, and I would have taken the bolster and just look. If I was rebuilding, or looking to the long term, I would have taken Colson. I believe in Colson, and to me, it's a question of I've got that position covered. But if you don't have the position covered, then and if it was just your starting. If you were starting a team with these guys, I think Colson is the best long-term value.
Yeah, I mean Colson and Cam were mine 1 and 2 going in, and it still was that way. And I was thinking the night before because some people were thinking he would take Colson, and I was really wondering about that. But I agree about Nevarez, by the way, David. I loved his defensive card. It is amazing.
Love it.
Is he going to do it every year? Don't know.
Yeah. By the way, so focusing on sort of positive because we can kind of focus on some of the negatives, but I think you don't want this to be like trashing guys' drafts. One of the guys that I actually was kind of surprised he fell that far. And I actually think the highest value for the pick is probably going to be Braxton Ashcraft. I love that guy. In fact, I would be tempted. Bubba's probably a sure, a higher ceiling guy. Ashcraft's a sure thing, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe Ashcraft's just going to be a number 3 starter, but if you're going to get a number 3 starter, and I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to be, I think there's a real value there.
Absolutely. I love that. He's a top 10 value, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm in agreement, and I think Brian getting a MI and Braxton Ashcraft was a coup.
Yeah. I was talking on the side. I was talking to Brian on the side, and he was just overjoyed to get MI and Ashcraft. He was just, it's like, I can't believe these guys. I was like, I know, it's a great draft. You get an A already, based on those picks. So yeah. In fact, now we're kind of on that. who else in the first round that you could think of were excellent value picks? Like for me,
I mean, I'll just jump. Oh,
go ahead. No, go ahead. You go ahead.
I'll just jump in and say I thought John moving, trading up to 18 and taking Daniel Palencia, getting the only jam closer in the draft at 18 was a really good value. I mean, he already, saved a game against me and shut me down. I just thought that was a great value there.
I think.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, Doug. Chase Meadroth. Again, I mentioned him earlier. I thought he was the best value pick of the first round. He's an on-base machine. He has excellent value at 14. I think he's going to have an excellent season his sophomore year. Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jeremy grabbing Jacob Marsay. I believe in Marsay. I think he's going to be either a leadoff or number two hitter, nice table setter, and I think for that spot, I like that. There's one other one I was looking at that I thought, yeah, I guess the more and more, because I had Okamoto a little bit lower than that. I like that pick for Mike a lot. When he jumped up, and it made sense for Bay because I had Bay taking Meadroth the entire time, so. It was just a 4th round pick, but he grabbed an extra pick, by moving down. But I don't think Okamoto would have lasted to Mike later. And so that the pick and the trade makes a lot of sense because it only cost him a 4th round pick. And I think he got himself a real quality guy.
Yeah, I know from talking to Brian at 13, he was agonizing when pick 12 was up. He's like, oh my gosh, do I get Marsay or do I get Ashcraft? He's like, I don't know which one's better. I was like, dude, I don't either. I don't envy you here because Marsay he's a really sleeper for a good player, an outfielder there.
Yeah, speaking of him, I think we're all bullish on him. If he had not been limited, how much higher would he have gone in this draft?
Much higher.
If he wasn't limited.
He would have been a top 3 player for sure. And the fact that Colson didn't means he was one of the top picks right there. If Colson had got a limitation,
amount of at-bats, right?
Yeah,
they had similar amount of at-bats, right?
I even brought that up to Mike when I was sitting with him at the stadium. I was like, man, I'm glad you didn't put a limitation on Colson, is what I said. That's
Colson's going to hit 40 bombs for you, man.
Yeah.
That's going to be ridiculous. Yeah, that's going to be ridiculous. I actually think he could be in our league MVP conversation.
Well, it's not starting well for him. In 2 series, 6 games, he has 0 hits and 5 walks or something like that. So, but he's not doing it yet. But I still see that window every time it comes up, the 60-point window, and I'm thinking it's going to hit it. Every time.
Yeah, it's I've stumbled a little bit out of the gate myself, but I as I've said out there, it's a long season. I think I'll be all right because I mean, Cal Raleigh's hit 3 bombs in the first series. Shohei's only hit 1 so far. I'm like, they're coming. Same with Colson. They're coming.
Yeah, they're coming.
God hit his first homer in the 8th game, so.
All right, so let's move to the second round, guys. We really had some good stuff with the first round. I thought it was an excellent, well done. I mean, it was good to see that. So the second round, we had some interesting picks too. David, did you want to start us off with your thoughts on any players there?
I love upside players, and this guy is a high risk, high reward guy. But Glenn taking Zach Veen at 47, I think just a great gamble there. It's perfect for his team. He's trying to acquire talent, and I love going, taking a gamble on a high upside guy like that.
You had pick 48. Would you have taken Veen or would you have taken Okert?
I absolutely could not have taken Veen. I needed help for my team this year, and as I spoke to both of you about, it really pains me because I love taking guys like Veen, but I had to do the sensible thing and take players that will help my current team. But in past years, that's totally a guy I would have targeted.
How about you, Doug?
Well, I'm tempted to say Jansen Junk because he literally threw nine innings of no-hit ball against John Morgan this week. But I think his last name is actually quite fitting. The guy who, especially if the spring is any indication, that I think might be the steal is the fact that Mick Abel was not taken in the first round. He's looking like he could be a real serious upside guy, and there's a huge shock. Ron taking a great young arm. I mean, he's But I also have to say, since we're talking the positive stuff, David and I, when the pick came up, literally texted each other the same text, which is, who is Didier Fuentes? I still don't know who he is. Somebody
So I
told
saw that
me.
he had 3 no-hit innings yesterday. It's like, obviously, I
okay.
should have known about him, but I
Yeah.
didn't know. I didn't know who he was.
That's my way of saying, man,
I did
don't know.
not project him. Yeah. And for me, I think it's the best pick of the draft overall in terms of value here. And we talked, it's funny because I just mentioned I don't like taking relievers, early or making big gambles on them. But Grant Taylor, Brian taking Grant Taylor, I thought he was the best reliever arm in the draft. I think he is a guy who could be a closer for the White Sox. And he's a guy that I had targeted hopefully in the top of the third and did not get him. And I was really sad to see him go to Brian. I was like, dang, how did you know about this guy?
Yeah, I like him. And one other guy, I think Cody Ponce, who Mike took at 30. I think he's going to probably end up being a really solid starter this year for Toronto. So I think, Mike Jackson taking him there was a really good pick.
That reminds me of another guy. I'll throw everybody back. Ryan Drees. No, Colby Lewis. Colby Lewis is the guy I was thinking about. Ryan Drees.
Colby Lewis had a lot of great years after coming back. Yeah,
he came back from Japan, a changed pitcher. Yeah. And is that what Cody Ponce is going to be? Time will tell.
I'm bullish. It seems like he has the stuff now.
He could be Miles Michaelis, though.
He could be Miles Michaelis. One of these guys.
Yeah, but Miles Michaelis got you Shohei Ohtani, so that's.
I love Miles Michaelis, man. As far I don't care that there's not a person out there, not a player out there whose politics I disagree with more. I am very, very happy that he was it was a package. But I got Shohei. Yeah, I think I'd do that trade again.
I'm shocked. Okay, so let's go to the third round now. And there is also a good value. This is, to me, third round is like the reliever round. And this is where most of the good relievers go. And Doug, would you mind starting us off?
I'm tempted just to drive David nuts to say Jacob Latz. I know how much he loves Jacob Latz. I think I personally, it's funny because Glenn told me that he wasn't real high. I like AJ Bluebach quite a lot. I think he's got a great arm, and one of those guys that I don't know that he makes his way into the rotation, but I think he could very well be like that ideal swing type of guy, especially if he gets 10 starts. If he makes 10 starts, you can use him in the rotation. I like him a lot. I'd probably put him as my favorite sort of value guy in the third.
How about you, David?
Well, last round I took a guy that was my, big upside guy, but this round I'm going to take a very sensible guy. In EJMA, or Dynasty League Baseball now, the way baseball is going, there's not as many long relievers. So many relievers they're using more relievers for shorter outings. So I was personally searching for long relievers, and Taylor Clark, who Adrian took, had an amazing right-handed reliever card, and he was a long. I thought that was a great value where you took him at 51.
Thank you. I thought so too. I was very happy to see Taylor Clark land to me there. For me, it was actually Doug's pick here, and I'm not doing it just because you're on the podcast. Man. I actually targeted him. It's Thielbar, a guy that you had slot for the first, and it maybe is a reach in the first, but still to get him in that late in the draft at pick number 57 is excellent value for a card like his.
Yeah. I gotta say, David likes to text me during the draft, says, "Who are you gonna take?" And I'm like, dude, you know who I'm going to take. I share my draft list with you all. The mock draft is a bit of my draft list. If there's a guy in the first round, and we're in the third round, and there's a guy that's on the mock draft, and he's sitting out there, it's an easy pick. So was Thielbar a bit of a reach in the first? Maybe, but what was he doing still out there in the third round? That was an easy pick for me.
He has an amazing card. I mean, maybe one of the top 3 reliever cards in the draft.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just because of his age.
He is 39 and has no track record. He may never do it again. I don't care. All I want is the card for this year.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think another couple names I was thinking about too in the third round would be, I like Justin Sterner. I have an SMBL, and he's been a really good card. Nick Mears is a very underrated guy too that I thought was gotten the late third. So there's some really good picks there and excellent value.
Yeah, and I
By the
thought
way-
Barco is a top 100 prospect. Jake was getting him at 49, and Riley O'Brien might be the closer in Cleveland, and John got him at 60. So,
Yeah.
Wait, Cleveland?
I'm sorry, Cleveland. It's St. Louis. Sorry, I'm thinking Cleveland as John's team, but yes, Riley O'Brien in St. Louis.
By the
Is he
way,
going
I
to
have
close in St. Louis?
What's that?
Is he
Yeah,
going
I
to
mean-
close in St. Louis?
Who knows? And the Cardinals are only going to have a dozen save opportunities, so it doesn't really matter. But
Well,
By
I
the way-
think he'll be the closer there. So,
I haven't had a chance to say this. You popped Justin Sterner in the SNBL 2 picks before I was going to grab him. So
He's been
But man-
really good for me too.
get it. It's a great card. I wanted him.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was thinking about, I had Taylor Clark, my first pick for the 3rd round in this EJMA draft, but as Sterner as the next guy I was going to take, and he went much later. And I was actually thinking, should I trade up to him to get him too? Not much later, a few picks after, but I was actually had eyes maybe try and trade up to get him. Well, let's go down to the 4th. So now in the 4th round, do you want to start us off in this one, Doug?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, he was in my mock, so it really surprised me that someone's song dropped all the way down to the 4th. I thought that, and wait, I complimented Glenn twice.
You did.
What's wrong with me, man? What's wrong with me? No, I like that. The other thing I thought was really interesting is when I picked, I had 3 relievers, and I was really going back and forth between Kasparis, Newcomb, and Bennett Sousa, and it was crazy to see the other 2 get picked. The 2 picks right in front of me, so it ended up being an easy choice. So I mean, both of those I thought were good. Were good values there. I'm looking and seeing if there's anybody long-term value. Where was Gavin Sheets still there with the 94th pick?
That was a good pick.
I originally joked about putting him in the 1st round with Tony's pick because that's a Tony type guy, and I will maintain that is a Tony type guy. I didn't think he was a 1st rounder, but I didn't dream he'd fall to the 2nd. So obviously that's a great pick for Mike Jackson in the 4.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Gavin Sheets, because I mean he's under 30. He's coming off a pretty good season. He's starting for San Diego first base, so I think that's a great pick.
I don't know.
One other pick I wanted to mention was Anthony Kay at 85. We talked about Cody Ponce coming back from Japan. I don't know if Kay was coming back from Korea or Japan, but 4th round, he's going to be in the White Sox rotation. I think that's a good value there.
I got to say something about that too, is that Sheets is one of those guys, I think, who's in the draft like every year. And everyone thinks he's going to do great every year. And I don't know. Maybe it's me thinking he shows that promise and never fulfills it. But, he was still a good value for a 4th round. But at the same time, is this a guy who's going to be in the draft every year?
It's like you guys picking Steve Powderly to take Eric Lauer twice as a 1st round pick. Hilarious.
It would have been a great pick.
It would have been a pretty good pick. But yeah, I mean, I didn't even think about the fact that he took him last time.
I forgot that he had. So I was so glad. That was my favorite reaction to your, to your mock draft.
Yeah. Well, for me in the 4th round, I thought the best value, and I'm all apologies for this, David, is Colwyn. I thought he has an excellent long card, especially for the 4th round. He has a really good low whip and a really live arm. And honestly, I think he's a dark horse for saves in Texas right now. I think
I agree. He is. I cut him 4 years ago, and he's a former 1st round pick. Great talent.
Mm-hmm. And Jacob Latz is one of those guys that you didn't have. It seems like the guys you wait to cut, David. They wait until you cut them till they blossom. So.
Yes, that keeps happening to me. But
and how close were you to cutting Jack?
I'm assuming it happens to others too. But
how close were you coming to cutting Jack Leiter last year, David? Tell me.
Never.
Okay.
Never close to cutting Jack Leiter.
We are still waiting for the Jason Botts breakout, though.
I don't know if your guys heard that.
I'll just tell you, next year will be the 20th anniversary of his retirement.
Oh man!
So his last season was 2007.
If you guys go back and listen to the intro theme song has a reference to Jason Botts. It's pretty nice. Yeah. So let's go to the 5th round. Unless you guys have anyone else in the 4th round. Let's go to the 5th round. Okay, so let me lead this one off here. And
Okay.
this is I thought was a really good pick in the 5th round, and it's Chase Shugart by you, David. And for this late in the draft, to get a very usable card that someone can be in your bullpen as a contender is extremely rare and unexpected for that late in the draft. That was an excellent pick.
Oh, well, I had some good advice on that one. So that was, I appreciated the advice.
Whoever
Thank
that
you.
was.
Yes,
Good job.
whoever that was. um, I like the pick of Nate Eaton. I don't know how great he is, but I certainly like the way he's looked in the World Baseball Classic, and Arizona took him at 115. I do want to comment that I think the worst pick I haven't really commented on the worst picks, but at 98 overall, Glenn forfeited that pick, so I will call that the worst pick of the 5th round.
Worst pick of the draft.
I don't know, man. I some of these picks, I think dropping the pick might have made more sense. But the one thing I was going to say is, I was getting ready to pick at 108, and then George traded me a 4th round pick next year to move up, and the guy who wanted actually wasn't in the draft, but that's not the point. The point is the guy who I was going to take, and so this is actually I like Brian Baker there. That's because Baker's got a chance to close in Tampa, and that reminds me. Sam Miller, the writer, always has. There's a running joke with this, and said, "Wait, Tampa made a trade. I love that trade for Tampa. Who'd they get?" Because the magic. It's why I took Mason Engler earlier. I have no idea if he's going to be any good, except I swear the Rays have some sort of witchcraft at turning mediocre pitchers into good ones. Baker was a nice value. That was the one time, because I kept trading down in the draft, the one time I was slightly bummed, except, I got a 4th round next year, so I thought that was pretty valuable. But I like Baker there with that pick. That'd probably be my favorite in that round.
All right, very cool. Let's move to the 6th round. Last round here, and we're not going to cover the supplemental picks, but I guess we can have some honorable mentions too. But
okay.
Doug, if you don't mind kicking us off the 6th round.
Yeah, by the way, I thought it was hilarious. You once again are taking that same flyer that we all have taken on Alex Jackson at some point. He's just so talented. How is that guy never any good?
Got a -1. He's valuable.
Yeah, limited card, -1.
Yeah, I thought Kate Stroud was a nice value in the 6th. There are still valuable relievers that weren't even taken in the supplemental round. Like how is Wandy Peralta still out there? And there, I think Jalen Beeks could end up being a nice pick there. And on the supplementals, there was one that I wanted to make sure to mention, because I was going to take him with my supplemental, and that's Foster Griffin. I thought that was the idea that you're going to take a flyer on Foster Griffin with a supplemental pick. I thought was a nice little pickup.
Yeah. How about you, David? What about the 6th round for you?
I actually had 4 guys listed here, so I don't want to. I hope I don't steal your thunder on these guys. I'm just going to mention them quickly.
You go ahead.
I thought you taking Rhys Hines as a real good upside guy at here in the 6th round. Doug taking Jordan Hicks. He hasn't produced, but the guy throws 100 miles an hour. He's could give every opportunity in the White Sox. So
real straight now. It moves
real straight.
There's nothing lateral. It goes straight.
So I think late 6th round. I think why not take a guy with that kind of talent? I thought Corey Lee, Tracy taking him. I think he's a pretty good catcher, and now with Kyle Teal hurt, he'll get a lot of opportunity with the Chicago White Sox. And the last guy, a guy I've never heard of, but I was just shocked that Tyler Tolbert, who Arizona took, had 50 at-bats on the season and had 21 stolen bases. I was like, what? I had to double-check it on another site to see if that was even accurate.
That's a pinch runner extraordinaire right there, man.
Yeah.
The record, the line is, wait, you don't like Tolbert? Everybody hates Tolbert. It's from Moneyball.
Yes.
Moneyball. Yes. I love Moneyball. For some reason, I watch that movie all the time. In fact, I have it sometimes I'm playing on my iPad while I'm playing an EJMA or an SMBL game. I have just playing there.
Does it inspire you in terms of your roster construction? like to look at on base and
Yes, it
things like
does.
that. Yeah.
It not necessarily. I've always kind of thought that way, but it just kind of reinforces it because I try to think outside of the norm sometimes when I'm looking at guys. For example, my sixth round guy is Jaden Hill, and he was the actual last pick of the regular draft by Philly. I thought he is a very live arm, and the thing about pitching in Colorado is it messes with your arsenal. It messes with your stuff, and I thought he was an excellent pick there because he is so filthy, and his numbers are so good in the minors that someone has to break through, right?
Well, in the NFL, Mr. Irrelevant often exceeds his draft ranking for some reason. That he always produces better, so maybe that'll be the one.
Yeah.
But the actual official that means the actual official Mr. Irrelevant was the last guy in the supplemental.
Oh, I was referring to last in six, but who was the last guy in the supplemental?
Ryan Stanek. That's the guy I took, and literally, it's if you're gonna take a flyer on a crappy guy, you might as well take a flyer on a crappy guy who's playing for your crappy team.
There you go.
That makes sense.
Okay. I think that wraps up our recap of the EJMA draft. Thank you, guys. This has been a lot of fun. I love talking about draft, and I hope to get us together again, talk about whatever topics come up during the season.
Thanks for inviting me. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is a lot of fun. And like Adrian always says, if you have comments or opinions about what we've said, put them in the chat.
Yes, absolutely. Give us comments, give us likes, don't give us dislikes, but give us a follow, and we'll show up on your feed when we have a new broadcast. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we're out. Okay.
Oh, that was good.
Longer, but that wasn't